Hello, everybody. This is Debo of Debo's Film Reviews here, and this week's review will be Batman Forever, starring Val Kilmer as Batman Bruce Wayne, Nicole Kidman as Dr. Chase Meridian, Tommy Lee Jones as Two-Face, Harvey Dent, Jim Carrey as Edward Nygma, Michael Goff as Alfred Pennyworth, Pat Hingle as Commissioner Gordon, featuring Drew Barrymore and Debbie Mazar as Sugar and Spice. I gotta say, this has gotta be Batman Forever is actually the superior of the Schumacher Batman movies, and a hell of a lot better than Batman and Robin was. But definitely epic just the same. I mean, the visuals in it were magnificent. I'm gonna say an excellent combination of neon and noir. I mean, you couldn't really tell what time period it took place in, given how there's like '90s music. I mean, oh, the soundtrack. I'd say for a Batman movie, this one's got the best soundtrack. I mean, of course, everyone talks about how Seal's Kiss from a Rose, but what really stood out with me was Smash It Up by Offspring and Bad Days by Flaming Lips. And of course, one of the best looking Batmobiles in Batman history. I mean, oof. One of the few flaws of that was it getting blown up right at that. Then when Riddler and Joker, Two Face, I don't know why I said Joker. Although Tommy Lee Jones did kind of portray Two Face like he was playing Joker in a way, but does have a similar scenario of where, like Joker, Batman made them kind of mentality because of course this one had the more accurate backstory of how Harvey Dent became Two Face from when Boss Maroni threw acid in his face, which permanently altered Harvey. Unlike Dark Knight and Batman the Animated Series, where Two Face was in an explosion and miraculously somewhat survived. And woof. And I gotta say, Tommy Lee Jones nailed it. Still nailed it perfectly though. I mean, when I associate Two Face, I would say Tommy Lee Jones did it the best, especially for the first live action. Although it kind of does have like an odd continuity error of how with Billy D. Williams playing him in the playing Harvey Dent in the Tim Burton ones, and the fact that Michael Goff and Pat Hingle continued their roles throughout the Burton and Schumacher movies, kind of raised like a continuity error of how they go from of how did it go because but but yeah, you can say Schumacher films are only semi-canon. And of course with how Jim Carrey just knocked it out of the park as Riddler. I mean, excellent character development from how he goes from a from top notch and a little eccentric employee of Wayne Enterprises who of course had his had his little beef with Bruce after getting an invention turned down, which is almost like a predecessor to the smart TV, except of course smart TV in reality doesn't manipulate, doesn't of course extract private thoughts out of your brain and all like the box did in Batman Forever. But that was some cool effects though. From how Enigma just snaps, breaks bad, and then takes out Stickley. It was one of the suits that really ran to Wayne Enterprises building for Bruce. And like I say, between Kilmer and Clooney, I say Kilmer knocked it out of the park. Especially since it was kind of the first live action Batman movie I ever watched. And man, Kilmer knocked it out of the park. I mean, he had the mannerisms and excellent bad voice. I mean, in terms of it, he was about the closest to a good Batman as Kevin Conroy was for animated. I mean, because their vocal mannerisms were a hell of a lot similar. But of course, after watching that documentary on Val Kilmer on Prime, I'm just like, I see why he didn't come back because of course the suit was uncomfortable and such. But hey, you're still one of the best ones. And back to the Batmobile. Man, talking about some of the epic appearances it had, from like the chase with Two Face's goons in that armored car, which I will say was one of the coolest villain cars in cinema history. And those Buick Roadmasters, the Two Face goons were driving in, and those goons and all definitely stood out. I mean, from where you got them guys that almost look like Deathstroke in a way, as if it was in that if they did adopted Slade Wilson in that timeline. And of course, those cars and the whole talk about some epic chaos scenes, including like the death, like the circus thing, when Two Face kills Dick Grayson's parents and family, and of course, I just gotta say, Chris O'Donnell was actually one of the best Robins, and I gotta give him excellent nod to Burt Ward when that line of when he goes, "Hold rusted metal at Riddler's lair." After Bruce and Dick kind of start getting to know each other, and much to Dick's reluctance, because throughout the movie was basically trying to explain why Batman don't kill and all. And of course, he winds up killing Two Face. Surprise, which is kind of a little messed up, but hell of a send off for a movie character. Especially, and there was kind of a little good deleted scene in the Blu-ray where I found that where they found out they showed how Harvey escaped and all. And man, knocked out of the park, and I also gotta say, it's one of the best things Nicole Kidman's ever done, and done is playing Dr. Chase Meridian. And but back to the Robin's thing, and I'll say excellent take on motive for wanting to become a superhero for Dick Grayson, of where it's Two-Face that did it, that killed his family, while in the comics and almost every other adaptation it was Tony Zuko. But of course, you know how movies are. Man, at least at least Chris O'Donnell didn't have to wear those cheesy Burt Ward shorts. But overall, I gotta say, Batman Forever, a cinematic masterpiece. Visually stunning, action and soundtrack to boot. I mean, just start from the beginning when it's like the montage of him, the prep montage, the security guard in the vault, and the helicopter scene and all, and then woof. And back to the time period, Fury. If you could almost tell from how, like in the Burton ones, where the police cars at Gotham PD were somewhat up to date, to where it was like driving four-door sedans, while in the Schumacher ones, Gotham PD was driving two-door Studebakers. Studebaker champions that were the model or commanders or something. I always get them two mixed up of where it was the first post-war design for Studebaker anyway. And of course with how that stood out, and of course an also excellent Easter egg with how the Flying Grayson's wearing somewhat Easter egg reference to the comic in Burt Ward era with his circus suits. And of course some of the portrayals of villains, I'm going to say, despite the fact that Tommy Lee Jones and Jim Carrey did not get along on set, but they did stand out. But they did make a good pair on screen. I mean, it's talking about some dastardly villains, and man, did they stand out. Which is fitting for what is the superior of the Schumacher films. And rumor has it, when I've heard, after Joel Schumacher passed, that they mentioned that there was supposed to be a Schumacher cut that hadn't been released, and I just say, release the damn Schumacher cut. I mean, come on. Especially since Batman Forever was the superior between between Batman and Robin and Batman Forever. And of course, back to the box plot. Man, how that was one of the more far-fetched, but hey, excellent portrayal of the Riddler by Jim Carrey. I mean, just one mention of character development, for how he went from nerdy office goon of Wayne Enterprises to a criminal mastermind with the box, and how he gone from the rags to riches and back then to Arkham story. And how he went from an evil looking like evil Shaggy to like a 90s type Riddler. Which I gotta say, Batman Forever, an excellent 5 out of 5 masterpiece. Hope y'all like, subscribe, and enjoy, and I'll keep dishing out the reviews.